So, back to our practice of the Bhagavad Gita, day 75. And as I promised yesterday, we are continuing the same shlok, number 42 of the 18th Adhyay, or verse 42 of chapter 18. And I will chant it again. Shamo damastapa shaucham shantirarjavamevacha Jnanam vijnanamastikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. Subjugation of the mind and senses, enduring hardships for the discharge of one's sacred obligations, external and internal purity, forgiving the faults of others, straightness of mind, senses, and behavior, belief in the Vedas and other scriptures, God and life after death, etc., study and teaching of the Vedas and other scriptures, and realization of the truth relating to God, all these constitute the natural duties of a Brahmana. So, as I mentioned yesterday, Bhagwan is now giving the natural duties, the innate qualities of the four different varnas. Yes, this shloka talks about Brahmana duties and Brahmana tendencies. Yesterday, we did 4 of the lakshans, and I promised that we would do the other 4 today. So, number 5 is Arjavam. Arjavam is straightness of mind, senses, and behavior. Often we think of something, but we do not say it because we are afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, or we are afraid that, we may sound bad and people may think badly about us. So we think about it, but we don't say it. Or it could also happen that we think something completely different, and then we portray or do or say something completely opposite. But Bhagwan says that one who has Brahmana sanskars will think, speak, and act with integrity. Means the same thing that he's thinking will be the same thing that he's speaking, and will be the same thing in the action. And why can he do that? Because he has nothing to fear, because he's doing things which are completely sattvic. Now, some may think that, okay, so whatever I think, I can just say it because that is Arjavam. So that is not correct. You have to apply the triple filter test here also. So you cannot just say anything. It has to be pleasant. You can say anything and everything in a harsh way, or you can say anything and everything in a pleasant way. And before you say it, it has to be something that is useful to that other person. So gossip, you are thinking of gossip and you say gossip, that is not allowed. So it has to pass the triple filter test. And if you have practiced one of the lakshans of yesterday, shaucham, internal and external purity, then Arjavam will become extremely easy to practice. So how can I bring Arjavam into my life? What is the sadhana for that? Of course, you have to work on the purification of your thoughts, which means start with Karma Yoga and align your thoughts, words, and actions. So if you're thinking something, create a gap. Before you speak, think, is this thought correct? So it's not about thinking something and correcting the speech. It's about correcting the thought itself. So that's what I mean by creating the gap. Before you speak, before you act, check if the thought is the correct one to have, and then correct the thought itself. And of course, use the triple filter test. So that's Arjava. Then Bhagwan talks about Jnanam. Jnanam, of course, the shloka has a very roundabout way of translating Jnanam. It basically means knowledge of the Vedas and other Shastras. Knowledge of the Vedas. So the one who has Brahmana gunas, only such a person will be even aware of the Shastras, will be aware of the Vedas, will be aware of all the different, sacred books of Sanatan Dharma. They will know their names, perhaps. They may even have knowledge of what they contain in terms of this Puran contains this story, this Puran contains that story. They may even know the shlokas, and they may even be able to recite them by heart. That is called jnanam. So having knowledge of all these different shastras. You might think, what's the big deal? Everybody knows this. No, everybody does not know this. Everybody does not know that there are 4 Vedas. Everybody does not know the names of the 4 Vedas. People may have heard of Bhagavad Gita, but they may have never opened it or known what is the content of it also. No, some people may not even know which is the holy Shastra of Sanatan Dharma. So this knowledge, which to satsangis is very, matter of fact.
Projections में आपने license cost तो लिया ही नहीं है ना? That is why we are mind.
Sorry? Did someone say something?
Oh, no, just put it on mute. Somebody was just talking.
All right. Who is that person who was asking a question?
Ma, it wasn't a question, Ma. It was a mistake. Yeah.
All right. So find out, one of the sadhanas you can do is to find out what is the rich heritage that we have in terms of Shastras and Vedas, and try to find out a little bit about all this. So that will give you jnanam of the Vedas and the Shastras. Now, Bhagwan talks about vijnanam. So there's a difference between jnanam and vijnanam, study and teaching of the Vedas and other Shastras. So some people know about the Vedas, and then by knowing about it, they are inclined to find out more about its contents. So they will seek out a teacher, they will seek out some program, they will seek out an organization where they can actually study the Shastras in depth. And when they start studying it in depth, the knowledge is not just remaining at the level of knowledge, they will start implementing that knowledge. And that is the crucial part, to implement that knowledge in their life. And when they implement it, their understanding of the knowledge becomes their own truth. So it's not just so-and-so said, Bhagwan Krishna said like this. No, I have tried that, what Bhagwan Krishna said, and it has worked in my life. And when that becomes our own truth, then knowledge is converted into wisdom. Jnanam is converted into vijnanam. When you put vi in front of the word, it becomes special. So this becomes special knowledge, which in other words is wisdom, your own truth. So at this stage, when it becomes your own truth, your own experience, the Bhagwan says, study and teaching of the Vedas and other Shastras. When it becomes your own truth, then you are qualified to teach it. When you have not made it your own truth, really you can teach it. Nobody is going to stop you from teaching it. But when you have it as your own experience, then your teaching is based on personal experience, tried and tested, vijnanam. This is also a Brahmana guna. And finally, Bhagwan says, astikyam, which is realization of the truth related to God. Knowledge progresses into wisdom, as I just said. Wisdom then progresses into teaching, and eventually realization of this truth yourself through direct experience. There is no sadhana as such in converting, implementing of the truth into direct experience. You simply have to study, you have to implement, you have to contemplate, and then keep doing this till the rest of your life. Because that spontaneous realization which arises from inside has no particular sadhana that has to be done. So this takes care of Shlok 42, where Bhagavan is talking about the kartavyas, the duties, the gunas of the Brahmana Varna. Tomorrow we'll talk about Kshatriya duties.